Barbara Eden is an iconic television actress, best known for portraying Jeannie on the classic 1960s sitcom I Dream of Jeannie. Barbara learned she was pregnant with a son when the series first began, and wasn't sure if she should commit to the role. Decades later, Barbara lost her son to a drug overdose. Join FactsVerse as we explore why Barbara Eden is still mourning the tragic loss of her son. While most in the TV audience will likely know actress Barbara Eden thanks to her iconic turn as the titular character on the classic sitcom I Dream of Jeannie, fewer will know that the actress had to suffer the loss of her son many years after filming that series. Her son was Matthew Ansara, and she lost him 20 years ago as a result of a heroin overdose. Matthew was 35 years old at the time, though he'd been dealing with an addiction to the substance for many years. Barbara had tried to help her son on numerous occasions and believed him to be clean at the time of his passing. Barbara was devastated, believing she could have done more to save her son's life. Since then, she's worked as an advocate to try to encourage parents seeking to intervene into the substance abuse habits of their children. The heroin overdose that killed Matthew occurred in June of 2001, though he'd been dealing with substance abuse issues for over a decade beforehand. Matthew's issues with heroin started soon after he was 18, at which point Barbara felt it wasn't within her rights to force rehab onto her adult son. Though Barbara still encouraged her son to kick the habit, she felt forced to leave the choice in his hands. Eventually, Matthew decided himself it was time to kick heroin and went to rehab on his own volition. There had been numerous periods where it seemed like Matthew had gotten his life back together, though he eventually always relapsed without anyone close to him finding out until it was too late. Matthew was 31 years old when he first went to rehab and was in and out several times before apparently kicking the habit for good. He'd been engaged once previously, though had fallen back into his heroin habit and destroyed the relationship. After his stays in rehab, he became engaged once more. His wedding was scheduled for just a month past the date of his accidental overdose. His body was found lifeless in his pickup truck. When an autopsy was performed, it was found that lethal levels of heroin had been present in his system. In addition to the heroin, it was found there was a notable amount of anabolic steroids in his body as well. Matthew had been practicing bodybuilding for several years, and he apparently was abusing steroids in addition to his abuse of heroin. Some speculated Matthew had turned back to heroin as a result of the pain inflicted on his body from the intense working out, though there were likely many reasons the man could never shake his demons. In addition to being an aspiring bodybuilder, Matthew was also an aspiring actor, looking to follow in the footsteps of his mother. Sadly, Matthew never found quite as much success in entertainment as his mother did during the height of her career. Many of the acting gigs Matthew did receive during his life came at the behest of his mother. Barbara managed to finagle a notable role for her son in the made-for-TV comedy feature Your Mother Wears Combat Boots, which she also starred in. Because of this, perhaps Matthew began to feel that he was living in his mother's shadow. Matthew also appeared alongside his mother on the TV series Harper Valley PTA. It premiered in 1980 and was based on the film of the same name, which had been released in 1978. Barbara Eden had also starred in the film. Despite her son's tragic death, Barbara chooses to remember Matthew for the good times the two shared on set together. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to FactsVerse for more. Barbara Eden is currently 91 years old and has been married 3 times. Matthew Ansara was the result of her first marriage, a union she shared with fellow actor Michael Ansara. They were married in 1958, and I Dream of Jeannie came on the air in '66. Matthew was born in 1965, before I Dream of Jeannie debuted. Since divorcing from Michael Ansara in 1974, Barbara Eden has remarried twice. She first remarried to Charles Donald Fagert, with the two tying the knot in 1977 and divorcing several years later. After this, she married her third and current husband in 1991. His name is John Eichholz, and he's a real estate developer and architect. Barbara Eden had filmed the pilot for I Dream of Jeannie before learning she was pregnant with her first and only child, and she got news of her pregnancy and the news of I Dream of Jeannie series order simultaneously. Barbara was elated at both pieces of information, but wasn't sure exactly how to proceed. While she was incredibly glad the pilot she filmed was going to get picked up for series, she wasn't sure if she was going to be up for filming. And she wasn't sure how the executives were going to take the news that she was pregnant due to the fact that it was going to affect the filming schedule. Thankfully, things turned out okay. Barbara Eden and Michael Ansara had been actively trying to have a baby since their marriage in 1958, meaning they'd been trying for 7 years. This made the news that Barbara was pregnant even more so of a pleasant surprise, and it also made it that much harder for Barbara to commit to her role on I Dream of Jeannie. Barbara believed there was little chance the executives would want to keep her on the show, given that she was going to be pregnant for most of the next year, which was actually all well and good with her because it meant she'd be there for her son. But the executives took the news that she was pregnant much more positively than the actress had expected, and assured her they could film most of I Dream of Jeannie's first season around her pregnancy by using carefully placed props to obscure the star's pregnant form. Matthew was born on August 29, 1965, after Barbara had already filmed several episodes. Despite the fact she continued to film during his infancy, she made a concerted effort to be there as much as she possibly could for her newborn baby, without eschewing her responsibility for the show. Barbara continued to juggle her duties as mother and actress after her time on I Dream of Jeannie ended. After divorcing Michael, Barbara would bring Matthew along to her various sets and get roles for him on some of the series and films she worked on. Barbara and Michael had referred to Matthew as their lucky charm baby, due to the fact he had come after so many years of them trying to procreate. The two considered their first and only child a veritable miracle, which only made it that much harder for the two to deal with when Matthew's life was taken away at such a young age. The guilt Barbara feels as a result of his early death continues to weigh on her well into her old age. I Dream of Jeannie came to an end in 1970, and Barbara has continued acting up until recently, with her most recent acting roles having been in 2019. With the 20th anniversary of her son's death having just recently passed, Barbara has been having a fairly tough time. At 91, Barbara is still plagued by memories of her son and routinely wonders if there was something more she could have done while he was still alive. In the time since Matthew's heroin overdose, Michael Ansara has also passed away. He passed away in 2013 at age 91. Now it's time to hear from you. Comment down below to share if you have any memories of Matthew's early acting roles alongside his mom, or if you were saddened to learn about his early death as a result of a heroin overdose. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.